you are here with me in my thoughts, silencing my fears, surrounding me in peace. Wash away my sin, make me new again. Jesus, you are here, purify me once again. You're healing all my heart and soul, breaking every chain in me. No sin or death has hold on me. Now your grace has set me free. So I'll praise you for all of my days. Oh, I'll praise you, whatever comes my way. Sweeping through this place, redeeming from my past. You meet me where I am, with me in the cold, even in the storm. Jesus, you are here, purify me once again. You're healing all my heart and soul, this moment, you make all things new. In your presence, there is hope. As I worship, you make all things new. In your mercy, I restore. Take my heart, Lord. You make all things new. In your mercy, I made it whole. I surrender. You make all things new. In your presence, there is peace. In this moment, you make all things new. In your presence, there is hope. As I worship, you make all things new. In your mercy, I'm restored. Take my heart, Lord. You make all things new. In your mercy, I'm made whole. I surrender. You make all things new. You make all things new. You make all things new. storm. Take my heart, Lord. You make all things new. In your mercy, thou made whole. I surrender. You make all things new.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, good evening. Welcome to another episode of FSN Conversations. I am Hope Rojas, your host for tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. As you may well know, our topic for tonight is Grieving 101. So I'd like to welcome our viewers who are already tuned in. Steph, good evening. Good evening to you. Early bird. Good evening, and thank you for joining. Sis Marian, good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Um, okay, so our topic, Grieving 101, how do I say goodbye? So let me introduce our guest for tonight. Actually, she needs no introduction because we've invited her the last episode of FSN Conversations. We had her on the show, and it was a very fruitful episode. She's a counseling psychologist, and she's our go-to consultant, advisor for Feast Laguna District. She's a college instructor at the University of Santo Tomas, Department of Psychology, and her mission is to serve the Lord and serve others through her profession. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our very special guest, Suki, our Suki. Thank you for joining us, Miss Cecile Ses Pilapil.
Hello, hello. Magandang gabi ulit sa inyong lahat. Hi, Sis Hope.
Hi
Hello,
again. Hi
Sis.
again, Miss
Hello.
Tess. Thank you for joining us once again. Hi, Miss
Yes.
Cheryl. Let me
Hi,
just
everyone.
acknowledge.
Yes,
Yeah,
go
let me just
ahead.
acknowledge our listener, our viewers. No, John. Good evening. Cheryl. Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Yeah, this is going to be as always. Pag si Mrs. ang ating guest, kaya hindi ko na hinabaan yung intro, Mrs. kasi
Salamat po
para
sa
hindi
inyo.
tayo mabitin, no? But yeah, we enjoyed our conversation last time. Yeah, in fact, we were pressed
Yeah,
for time. We wanted to extend it, but at least thank you for gracing our show once again.
of course.
Our topic for tonight is Grieving 101. So it's very timely because you know how it is during
Mm,
pandemic, no? Like
mm,
I think most people underwent a grieving mourning, or you
yes.
know, this time of pandemic. So even in our community,
Mm-mm,
we've lost some good ones. So
mm-mm.
um, I understand you prepared some slides for us,
Yeah,
or do you want to get into that? Or let
a
me
few lang.
remind lang everyone, Mrs. No, our viewers,
Go ahead.
please, as we present the slides, you can post your questions. We have a Q&A. We have a Q&A section later at the end of the presentation of slides. So at any time, please post your questions so we can
Mm-mm,
read it out later on
mm-mm,
in the
mm-mm.
show.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, Grieving 101.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is very dear to my heart. This topic is very dear to my heart. So
Actually, yeah, Sis Hope and Brother Anthony, when we were having our tech run earlier, ano tayong tatlo pa lang, marami ng magandang usapan, malalim, very
yes.
heartfelt, no?
Mhm, mhm.
It's really hard to talk about this kind of topic, no, Sis Hope, tsaka si Brother Anthony. We all went through a difficult transition, no? So, tamang-tama yung pagkasabi mo, Sis Hope, no, na it's really difficult sa pandemic time on how do we deal, no, with this kind of grief. And natawa naman ako dun sa topic na it's grief 101.
Yeah.
Pero medyo parang gets ng mga tao, no, na do we really
Mm-mm.
have to let go?
Right,
I
right.
mean, diba? Like what you said earlier, do I want to say
Mhm.
goodbye?
Yes,
Diba? Oo,
yes,
medyo
exactly.
mahirap sabihin, mahirap gawin kung hindi natin naiintindihan, if we don't understand what's happening within us.
Right.
So there, I just wanted to share my 2 cents worth before
Uh-huh.
I talk, no. Parang when I was thinking about the topics, sabi ko, kailangan yung simple pero malalim,
Mhm.
simple pero madaling maintindihan. So
Right,
that's where
right.
I am. Oo.
Oo, and it's very timely. As I mentioned nga kanina, ako pa lang ang dami ng
Oo,
question, but
abutin tayong alas 12 ng gabi.
I know, kaya nga, I have to keep the introduction short. I have to stop myself because, yeah, this topic is
Yeah,
really very
it is.
wide range,
It is.
and it's deep, and there's a lot of issues that
Mm-mm,
have to be
mm-mm,
addressed because
mhm,
it's not easy. And losing someone is not easy in itself. Idagdag mo pa
mm-mm.
yung pandemic, makes it
Correct.
doubly hard. Makes it
Correct,
doubly
correct.
hard. So
Mhm.
I really, hi Sisley. So I would really encourage our listeners to please join the conversation.
Mm-mm.
Post your questions,
Yes.
anything. Yeah, we encourage you to just join in the conversation tonight
Yes.
because our
Correct.
topic is really timely,
Correct.
and Mrs. as always is a big help sa atin. Hi babes, good evening, good evening. So let us proceed. Yes, Bro Anthony, be blessed everyone. So we'd like to share the slides. Mrs.
Mhm.
Prepared the slides for us. Thank you, Mrs. for going out of your way to prepare this presentation for us, because so we will get better grasp of the process of
Yes.
grieving.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sis Hope. So I'm ready when you're ready, Brother Anthony. Okay. So I made the slides short naman. So my title in support of the Grief 101 is Grief Process, How Do I Let Go? So let's start lang with the next slide, please. It says here normal grief. Okay. So um when we talk about normal grief, it is uncomplicated grief. And if you press the next one, brother, and these are all about, it's a range of feelings, it's a range of so many thoughts, so many physical sensations that you feel. There are changes in your behavior from a normal behavior to not so normal because you are feeling the loss, no? And you would notice my word loss is open and close quotation marks because it has so many symbols, or so many not only symbols but meaning when we talk about loss. And just to let you understand what is normal grief, simply said, of course, when you cry, when you have headaches, you have difficulty sleeping, you are questioning your purpose in life, you are questioning your belief, you ask about why God is doing this to you, no? There are feelings of detachment, you don't want to join your family, your friends, yung LG siguro, no? You want to be isolated, there are some abnormal behaviors na dati you would wake up 8 o'clock in the morning and do your regular routine, but this time when you wake up you just want to stay in bed, no, you worry a lot. There's anxiety, uneasiness, there's frustration. Grabe, no? Ang dami, no? Normal pa lang to, ha? Normal grief pa lang, no? There is tiredness, there's anger, there's a loss of appetite, no? There are aches and pains, and also the feeling of stress that is always in the mind, no? Yung pressure inside the mind. So, when we talk about normal grief, eto lahat yun. So it's really a chain reaction of so many emotions. Again, emotions, thoughts, Kasi parang there is a disequilibrium yon. Nawalan ka ng balance sa buhay. So if I go to the next slide, Brother Anthony, I just want to share with you, there are three different terms that I just want you to understand. If you can see it in the screen, it says here, there is grief, there is mourning, and there is bereavement. So yung grief, I already explained to you, it's the experience, no? Pero dito, I just use the term lang when you lose someone that you love, no, to death. The mourning here is about the process itself, while bereavement means you are trying to adapt to the loss. Okay, so that you can have a ballpark figure of what's the difference among the three. Sige. So let's proceed to the next one. Now here, isang bagsakan, because of this pandemic that we have, almost 2 years, almost 1 year and a half na po tayo. And you can see in this PowerPoint slide, ang loss is not about the death of a very close person to you, but it has symbolized so many things, no? So if I'm going to read it for you, it says here, death, loss of life, loss of control. When you say loss of control, wow, should I say more? No, the kids, the teenagers cannot go out their usual way. Of course, adults cannot do a regular work, going to work and coming home from work, driving. So wala na yung freedom, no? So everything is a little constricted. The loss of routine and predictability, the loss of employment and income. This is global, no? And there's also the loss of independence and freedom, the loss of future. There are really some people, or most of us, are already thinking, meron pa bang future? May kailangan mo ba magplano, diba? There's a loss of endings, okay? There's a loss of physical activity. There's a loss of do I read it right? Yeah, entertainment and a social life, loss of events and celebrations. Can you imagine everything now is online, even graduation ceremonies? You cannot go to a wedding of your friend. Everything is online. You just have to watch how, all of these intimate moments that you want to be there, nawala na rin yon. The loss of relationships and friends because of sickness, and also the distance, no? And of course, you have here loss of health. Na dati, we are very healthy. Now, we are prone to so many sicknesses because of the pandemic. So, the meaning of the word loss has now a different term for us during this pandemic. And later, maybe you have questions about this. Okay, I'd like to introduce you to, there are 4 types of grief. And this is already in the next slide. So we'll just show it one by one. So the first one, you just click it, brother. Thank you. You have there the loss of identity. Sige lang, tuloy mo lang, brother. Yeah, okay. When we talk of this type of grief, the loss of identity, we're talking about a lost role or affiliation. A lost role or affiliation. For example, no? Pasensya na po if my examples might hit some strings in your life. This is just a point of reflection for you, a point of, I know there are things that I might trigger, or, you don't want to go back through it anymore. But again, this is academic. This is something that it's nice just to learn new things, or there's a different meaning now. So examples of this loss of identity is when a person going through a legal separation, or being, let's say for example, divorce, or their marriage is not working, there's a certain feeling of loss of no longer being a spouse. So that's an example of a loss of identity. Another one could be, perhaps nakaka-relate ngayon ang mga elderly natin sa community, an empty nester, meaning Of course, all of your children are all grown up, and you are left already alone in the house. Your spouse is already, syempre, si husband or si wife, nasa heaven na. And you mourn that loss of identity of parenthood, no? So these are just examples of loss of identity when we talk about this type of grief. So let's go to the next one. If you just click it, Brother Anthony, this one is about loss of safety. We grieve about this because there's a loss of sense of physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Like, for example, um, when families who are experiencing, let's say, pinapalayas na kayo sa bahay ninyo, no? O kaya there is instability in the house. So the persons living in that house, you feel, unprotected and unstable. So there's a loss of safety there. Or for example, members of the community who encountered violence and feel destabilized and unsafe in a community, that's also a loss of safety. Okay. And of course, I think a lot of you might relate when I say this. When a person who is so in love with his or her partner and only to find out there is an infidelity, and you feel emotionally unsafe, no, in that relationship. So there's a loss of safety. Okay. Let's go to the next one, Brother Anthony. That is what you call a loss of autonomy, the lost ability to manage one's own life and affairs. For example, I think most of us went through this, no, when we take care of our family members who are experiencing degenerative illnesses, who grieves the loss of physical, of physical and cognitive abilities. For example, when an older adult or an elderly has no longer the ability to care for himself, no, there's a grieving that happens there because nawala na yung autonomy, because you are now learning or starting to depend with someone else. So there's a loss of autonomy, and people grieve about that, no. And then you also have the last one, the last square there. You have also what we call the loss of dreams or expectations. So, Brother Anthony, you can just enter. When we talk about loss of dreams or expectations, it's about dealing with hopes and dreams going unfulfilled. Definitely, most of us wanted siguro to travel pre-pandemic, and you wanted to go to places, and all of a sudden, it all stopped, no? Yung pag-book nyo ng mga tickets, wala na, no? So, refunding takes time. So, isa yon. When we talk about, for example, for those students or teenagers, no, an overachieving student who struggles to find their place in the real world. What kind of world are we going to live in now when everything we have to deal is with digital? Okay, and this is really something na we need to understand that the types of grief can be this way, no? So again, loss of identity, loss of safety, loss of autonomy, and loss of dreams and expectations. So the next slide that I will show you, I guess this is very familiar to everyone, are the stages of grief. I got this simple picture because I think most of you can relate to this about the 5 stages of grief. This was formulated by Kubler-Ross way back 1969. Okay, and it's a code, no? So if you begin with denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, first thing that you experience definitely is denial, the first stage. Here, when there is a feeling of loss, there is what you call there's avoidance, there is confusion, no, there is a shock, cannot accept what is happening at that point. And however, when all of these things fade, no, all of this symptoms of denial, this is where your healing process will begin. When it suddenly fades, no. If you ask me what's a time frame, it depends still. So the next stage is anger. So you can see the lady there, no, talagang ano pa siya, no, may gigil, no, may gigil. So it says here, no, typical anger, verbal statements would be, why me? Life is not unfair. Where is God? Mga ganyan, no? Why didn't He protect my family? Why didn't He protect my loved one, no? So, kaya, ano talaga, no? So, it's really a lashing out. And in terms of psychology, or as a psychologist, these are just expressions of anger. And it must be expressed in such a way that ma-release lang, no? There is a release of frustration, the helplessness, no? Take note, it is not towards the deceased. It's not about, well, I'm referring to a person at this point. It's not about a person who died, but also it is not also about, yung doktor, yung nurse, yung pandemic, no. It's really about, there is no control. And sometimes when a person who is so angry does not know how to articulate or communicate well, and that's why the feeling of anger would really rush inside you, and you just wanna, express it to the world. And all I can say is, to the one who is going to listen from the anger or the lashing out of the person who's going through the stages of grief, especially the stage 2, all you have to do is really listen. Wag niyong sagutin, wag niyong suntukin, wag niyong labanan, diba? Just listen, and wala kang sasabihin na ano, no? Like, for example, kaya mo yan, sige, labas mo. It's not about that, eh. It's just being there and listening and absorbing the intensity of that anger. Basta walang bugbugan na mangyayari, okay? So, ang importante lang dito is ma-express lang. But you know what? In psychology, it says, it is also pointed out, when you express this kind of anger, it grounds you into reality. No? It really grounds you into reality of what's really happening to you, to your surrounding, and to the people around you. So, parang kung titingnan mo, wow, sis, so okay lang palang magalit as long as it is not harmful to the people around you. It's just an expression, no? Na ilabas lang. Then you have, no, so again, you begin with denial, then second is anger, then the third one is bargaining. Ano bang binabargain dito? Well, inside a person's mind, there's what you call the what if statements. What if I brought my loved one to the hospital earlier? I did not do my overtime, and I just attended to this person. May mga ganyan, no? Mga what if ano, no? Kumuha ko ng magandang insurance para hindi kami, di ba? Hindi kami hirap ngayon sa pagbabayad ng mga utang, and so on and so forth. So there's a struggle. No, there's a struggle that's happening in this bargaining just to soften the blow, no, that is happening to you. So here in this bargaining, you just have to tell your story. No, ito yung mga tipong, what if sinabi ko dun sa tatay ko noong unang panahon, tumigil sa paninigarilyo para hindi siya mamatay agad. May mga ganyan, no? So yan yung mga what if conversations nyo inside the head. That's the bargaining part. Then, the fourth one is depression. If anger in stage 2 was lashing out, expressing, ang depression dito sa fourth stage ng grief is anger retroflected. What's that? It's anger going inside you. No, it's anger turned inward. And this is where you feel really helpless. No, you don't want to move. There's just a heavy feeling. It's not because you're sick, but all you can think of, you just want to lie in the bed. You want to be you're in a hibernating mode. No, you don't want to see people and so on because sa sobrang galit mo at ayaw mo naman i-express, ang tendency mo naman is just to magmukmok, no? May ganon. And then it takes time for some people to go to the fifth stage, which is already the last one, acceptance. Here, you have to understand yung roller coaster ride from denial, no, anger, bargaining, depression. So up down kasi yan, no, hanggang sa mag-stabilize and then the person is ready for what we call uh, exploring options, or you're ready to move on, or there's a new plan already that you are thinking and you're exploring options. Now, with according to Kubler-Ross, can I jump from denial tapos I go straight to acceptance, no? O di kaya acceptance and I'll go back to anger again and so on, no? Um, because of this particular theory of Kubler-Ross way back 1969, and human beings have already evolved. Nag-evolve na eh. So many years, no? Almost 40 years, 30 to 40 years already. There's an adjustment that can happen, but not very, hindi yung jump from denial to acceptance. Pwedeng denial, tapos you go to anger, may depression, tapos mag-bargain ka. Pwedeng ganon, hanggang, parang ang last stage palagi is the acceptance part. Okay? So for sure, meron siguro magtatanong dyan later on. Now, let's now get into the next slide. Here, I just want to share with you techniques. This technique is, how would I say this? Parang ano to eh, you can do it by yourself. No? Writing. Bakit writing? If there are people who went through unfinished businesses with their loved ones or with their friends or whoever significant person in their life and you felt the loss, writing your own diary, writing on your own diary, your own journal, no? And just expressing all of these emotions, just mas maganda pa nga handwritten eh. Kasi there's more ownership to the words. There's more yung diin ng ballpen dun sa sa papel, no? Sometimes that's also a check and balance for you, that when you express it, it's there and you can see it. And parang it's out there already when you write it on paper, and then you are acknowledging, oo nga, yan nga yung nararamdaman ko. Oo nga, yan yung dinaanan ko. Ito yung mga hindi ko nasabi. Ngayon nasabi ko na. But you don't have to share it with anyone. It's just for your own closure. It's just for your own private understanding of processing yourself then, no? So it could be a farewell letter, a poetry if you want, sometimes even a song, no? Of course, drawing would help definitely, or painting, no? It's an unconscious expression of feelings and thoughts. You also have here use of symbols. Meaning ng symbols dito would be photos of perhaps of your loved ones, no? If others are brave enough, 'di ba? Letters that the loved one wrote you and you wanna still read it, then kung kaya, 'di ba? Audio and videotapes of, of get-togethers when you watch it, the symbolism of life, and it's also processing when you watch it, parang, wow, wala na siya talaga, no? And then, of course, some naman, clothing. There are some, they are not ready to, put into boxes all of the clothes of their loved ones. Paminsan naka-display pa yan na ilang taon, no? O di kaya ilang buwan. But there are some, they just want it done and over with para mag-move on and donate it to a seminary, di ba? Or even jewelry. Some you would give it away, and there are some that you will just treasure because it's very sentimental. So these are just techniques lang naman, no? And then, of course, the last one is the memory book, no? Here, it's like an integration on your end then. Like when you put pictures of, when I say picture, syempre for the older ones, ito pa yung pag when you snapshot and you develop it, diba? And you put it in an album, yan yung Yan yung mga old time pa. But now kasi, for sure, yung mga digital kids na or the digital population already, talagang ano na, yung collage na sa that you can put together using different kinds of computer programs, no? And you can put a memory book, no? And the purpose of memory books, whether it is an e-book or it's a hardbound book, is really reminiscing. And reminiscing, and then at the same time, mourning, reminiscing, mourning, hanggang sa you just revisit, reintegrate the loss into growing and changing your life, and it's moving forward. Okay? There are some people, they don't want to take pictures, or some would take pictures but they don't want to hold it or fix it yet. But when they are ready to fix that memory book, it could be a family activity, no? So let's go on to the next one. Again, this is just one of the grief, ang tawag kasi dito grief techniques, no? Or grief interventions. The next one, go ahead. This is the next one is all about social support. You can show everything. Yeah. Thank you, brother. So you definitely, because of COVID pandemic, no, my symbolisms there are all online. Okay. So again, social support, close friends, support group, family members, close neighbors or community. Well, there are some who are already tough. If you're already vaccinated, some are already able to visit some friends who are also vaccinated, as long as there are healthy protocols. If not, a video call would help, regular conversations with people, if it's weekly. When you are ready, take note, when you are ready to ask for comfort, no, for those who are grieving or who are mourning, then you can already approach people who would understand you, okay, and who would walk with you, and so on and so forth, no. So social support, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ng pandemic, is really important. I know some of you has a difficult journey when your loved one, the last time you saw your loved one was when you brought them to the hospital because of COVID, and then pagbalik sa inyo, ano na, no? Nasa urn. Ang laki ng gap doon, ang laki ng void, ang laki ng parang you did not go through that, what we call the ritual, no? So if you now go to the next slide, brother Anthony, then go through rituals naman. When I say go through rituals, it's not the usual ritual that you had when you had the funeral rite pre-pandemic, but perhaps having daily masses or novena that are online. Visiting the cemetery, as long as safety protocol, no? For others naman, visiting the columbarium, o kaya you can have the urn muna at home, no? Some would wearing black or wearing white for some. And others would get into family activities, whether online or face-to-face, kung mag-iisa lang naman kayo sa loob ng bahay. But it is definitely healing focused when you get into family activities. And I shared with you earlier yung creating that memory book, no, that would help. O di kaya when you already are open to packing things already of the loved one that passed away, no, then that could be a family activity. So again, the rituals can be done. You can be very creative on your rituals, how you can do this every day, every single day. The reason why I'm sharing this with you, because I also, I am one with you when it talks about losing a loved one. And so far, these are some of the steps that I went through, and it did help me go through my grieving when I lost my father and when I lost my best friend a few years back. So these are things that might help you also. And if you go to the next slide, Another grief intervention that I'd like to share with you is definitely counseling and psychotherapy. I already placed here, yun nga lang, this is all online, no? And there are some clients that I can talk online, and there are some I cannot really talk online because it's a difficult situation. Kailangan talaga face to face. And so far, ang naranasan ko is lahat nasa online. Now, I placed here significant, no? Significant mental health issues na kailangan i-address, no? So we have here complicated grief, major depressive disorder, prolonged grief disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. I know it sounds scary for some, no? But my point being here is that you are aware, that you know that this is already happening pala. Like for example, when we talk about complicated grief, if you understood earlier about normal grief, yung lahat ng chain reactions na yon, no? This one, it's all about the complicated grief. This is where the heightened state of mourning that keeps you from healing. Ayaw mo mag-heal. You just repeat and repeat all of the things that you're feeling and thinking, and also behaviorally abnormal behavior na ginagawa mo na consistent ka, pero ayaw mo mag-heal, ayaw mo mag-move on. So some of the descriptions of this complicated grief is there's intense sorrow, no? Pain, rumination, yung paulit-ulit na iniisip, no? Na nawalan ka ng pinakamamahal mo. So it keeps on repeating inside your head, no? For example, the focus on little on yourself, and you're just focusing on the death of that person, and wala ka na inisip kundi yun lang, no? And then examples would be numbness, bitterness, no? In other words, there is parang ang description ko dito is like you are trapped in a swamp and you don't want to get out of it. Yun yun. May mga nag-reach out to help you and ayaw mo kunin yung mga kamay. Gusto mo nandun ka lang sa swamp. So that is an example of a complicated grief. So when we talk about major depressive disorder, according to the DSM-5, that's one of the tools of a psychologist to understand, no, na when a person is going through grief or bereavement, parang nagiging automatic, parang hindi lang automatic, it is understood that the person will go through major depressive disorder. Meaning, 2 weeks yan na talagang araw-araw, ang nararamdaman mo talaga is there is sleep disturbance, you are irritable, there is guilt, your energy is pagod na pagod ka, you have problems with concentration, you gain or you lost appetite, no? Paminsan, we call it psychological retardation or agitation, yung aligaga o di kaya lalamya-lamya, no? Melancholic ka. There are thoughts of harming yourself, no? And of course, the loss of interest of just living. Pero yan, my dear friends, pag 2 weeks yan, nasunod-sunod talaga, no? Na ganyan yung mga symptoms. Na not all, basta makalima ka lang dyan, no? And then the next one here that is mentioned here is the prolonged grief disorder. Dito, kaya siya prolonged grief disorder, there is mental health concerns plus physical. It now has manifested in the physical, such as cardiac problems, yan na, hypertension, cancer, nagmamanifest na siya, no, biologically when you go through a prolonged grief disorder. And then, of course, the last one is the post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very similar to a war veteran, no? Ang dami mong flashbacks. You don't know how to deal with it. There are a lot of negative thoughts, no? A lot of negative feelings towards what the event did to you, the traumatic event did to you. So, ang tendency mo is paulit-ulit lang, no? Anxiety provoking, and you just don't know what to do anymore, no? So, kaya ito, I mentioned it here, is not to scare you, but this is one way also. Once you know, then you can refer. I repeat, once you know all of these things already, then you can refer to a professional on how to help them when it comes to counseling and psychotherapy. Okay? So, ito yung mental health issues talaga na talagang kailangan na ng professional help. Okay? And then the next slide, malapit na po tayong matapos. Here, in the next slide, I like this part because after going through that roller coaster ride, one by one lang, Brother Anthony, when is grief finished? So you can just enter one by one lang. Regain, once you have regained an interest in life, then you know you are ready to move on. Next, you feel more hopeful. All of a sudden, you just wake up one morning. No matter how many years it took you or months took you, no, to get out of that grief, the stages of grief, nandun ka na sa acceptance part, no. All of a sudden, you can just feel, wow, hindi na mabigat. Nandun pa rin yung sakit, pero mukhang hopeful na ako. Next one, please. When you experience gratification, when you are already experiencing gratefulness, no, parang, ano ka na, nandun ka na sa entering the positive side of living and moving forward. And then the last one is adapt to new roles. All of a sudden, nagkaroon ka na ng apo, diba? All of a sudden, your son got married, diba? Your daughter got married. So, ano ka na, lola ka na, lolo ka na, o kaya tita ka na, no? Ninang ka. So, there is a new role that you're getting into. And it's just timely that you're experiencing that. So then again, when is grief finished? Regain an interest in life. You feel more hopeful, experience gratification, and adapt to new roles. And of course, the last slide, this is where I will just say it one by one with the help of my friend Anthony. I know we rehearsed this, but just enter it one by one as I read it lang. Healing takes time. No rush, my dear friend. Take it one day at a time. The pain will always be there. But in time, you will have a breakthrough. And it will be bearable. Just remember to reach out because you are not alone. So I end my presentation. And this is where I will ask the help of Sis Hope to come back. Okay?
Yes,
And this is where we can start, having our conversations again. So, continue natin yung usapan ba?
kwentuhan. Yeah.
Kwentuhan, Hope.
Yes,
No? Sige.
that's the title of the show, FSN Conversations. Thank you so much, Mrs., for that wonderful presentation. It was very informative. Okay, let me direct to you. My question is Steph. O sige, I will not umpisa na kaagad natin.
Oo, sige. Okay
po,
lang. No problem.
Yeah, from Steph, ano po thoughts ninyo sa separation anxiety even if that person is not gonna die soon?
Wow, ang dami kong questions dyan. Kasi I have to ask first, no, is the person, maybe if the person is an adult o di kaya a teenager, diba? Iba kasi ang reaction ng isang teenager sa isang adult. When I say adult tayo, yung edad natin, no, Sis Hope. Pero kung teenager yan, at medyo bata-bata pa yan, kailangan talaga ng guidance niyan. When I say guidance, there are so many heightened emotions because of their hormones. They need to be guided on, coached on express the feeling, and somebody has to teach them, okay, this is what you're gonna do. Ba't ka na-anxious? Okay. O, aalis lang naman eh. Babalik rin naman yan, no? So, may mga ganyan. In other words, just have a normal conversation, kausapin na ng maayos, diba? But if it is, let's say, yung separation anxiety, adult to an adult or adult to an elderly, no? And it's not about, kumbaga, may sakit pa lang, pero hindi pa, kumbaga, wala pang symptoms of, going to heaven. When you're experiencing separation anxiety, definitely you still have to talk to someone to have a validation if you are just having it in your head, or you just, baka mali din ang basa mo, 'di ba? So maganda pa rin na meron ka pa rin kausap. Pero when I say kausap, a close friend who can understand you. Hindi yung, kaya mo yan, mag-inuman tayo. Hindi yon. So it's really about processing, listening to you. But if you think they are not able to help you, the social support group that you have, then this is where you go through a professional help. And usually, someone like me would ask you about kailan nagsimula yan? Anong nag-trigger dyan? Anong iniisip mo? Okay? So, these are all of the things that I would ask and guide you on, okay, I'll give you techniques. Ito yung technique dyan. Ito yung gagawin natin. Let's resolve this and so on. So, Steph, medyo broad yung sagot ko kasi nga iba ang approach kasi depending on the age at saka sometimes depending on the gender pa. Oo. So, I hope I was able to answer that big question that you have, Steph. I don't know. Does that can you relate with it, Sis Hope?
Steph, you can always have a follow-up question. Pero
Yeah.
I think for me, as a follow-up to that question, kasi yun nga, hindi natin alam if Steph is talking about like adult ba or children. But my question would be about, losing someone. How do you make children understand?
Wow,
Na,
that's ang
like
ganda. Ganda ng question.
someone, a part of their life, biglang all of a sudden, they don't see him anymore. Or don't see her anymore. And second, sige, yun muna.
Yun muna.
Yeah.
So when we talk about children, these are like, when we talk about age kung 1 to, sabihin natin, 1 to 7 or 1 to 10 years old. Kasi hindi pa sila teenagers eh. So ano pa yan, childhood pa, no? Syempre hindi pa nila maintindihan yung death. Yung permanently wala na, no? So sometimes it's just this is where we use kasi in psychology, and among the psychologists, we use play therapy. Dolls, storybooks relating to when someone goes, diba? Kaya when someone passes away, diba? They go to heaven, and in heaven, no more pain. So, it's really about storytelling. Pag ganon, pag childhood. But when we talk about teenagers, there's a lot of emotions going on eh. And usually, galit yan eh, no? May tampo. Kasi nga yung hormones nila are telling them to be intense. Hindi naman nila fault, no? So, this is where, babalik tayo dun sa usapan last time, yung kanilang prefrontal cortex, hindi pa kasi developed yan. So, their judgment calls are not mature. And there's a lot of immaturity that comes in. But it's not because, lahat naman tayo dumaan sa ganyan. And definitely, kailangan sila kausapin. And sometimes, sa mga kabataan ngayon, at this age, pakikinggan mo lang. Pakikinggan mo lang, kakausapin mo lang. Yun nga lang, how to talk with them kung hindi ka ready as a mom or as a dad nakakausapin. Kasi paminsan, yung tono mo pa lang, naiinis na sila, di ba? So, again, mas maganda sana someone objective. When I say someone objective, yung hindi immediate family member. Kasi baka sabihin, daming stories kasi niyan eh. So, pwedeng, let's say, a friend, let's say, for example, kunyari ako, may anak ako, Hope, sabihin ko sa'yo, Hope, pwede mo kausapin yung anak ko? May topak
Right.
eh.
Right.
And she respects you. So maybe that's a way that you can facilitate it. And
Right.
then, use the right words and the right terms. And all of a sudden, di ba, para bang, thank you for being a second parent to my child.
Right.
Pwedeng ganon.
And
So,
sometimes kasi you yourself, you're not
yes.
ready diba, to
Yun.
deal with it.
Exactly,
Oo.
exactly.
Oo.
So you're all in the same, same swamp feeling. So it's really hard to process your own kids, whatever age they are, kung ikaw mismo may dinadaanan.
Yeah.
So again, you really have to refer. Pag hindi nyo talaga kaya talaga, let's say, Sis Hope, nagkataon, ikaw rin naman may dinadala. Again, wala. A professional would really come in the picture eh. Bakit? Kasi sanay sila eh. Sanay sila agad kung anong dapat gawin. Very objective yan. Then there's a lot of parang, ay, at least hindi to kilala ng nanay ko. O kaya ng tatay ko and stuff. So when I ball out all of my emotion and all of my thoughts, I won't be judged. So again, iba rin yung may authority, iba rin yung may objectivity to help them process their emotions. So that's the best way at this point. So again, ano pa lang yan, children. So iba pa yung adult children. Diba? Like you, diba? Mga anak mo, may mga trabaho na, and so on.
Yeah.
There are some, they don't want to talk about the one who passed away. May mga ganyan, no? They don't, kunyari, nagsastruggle na yung loved one mo, and mas lalo siyang lumalayo. Parang ikaw magtatampo ka, ano ba naman itong mga anak ko, kung kailan ko sila kailangan, and so on. But then again, everyone has a different way of dealing with grief.
Yeah.
And wala, bababaan mo talaga yung expectations when it comes to people going through grief. Kasi that's how it is. That's just how it is. Dapat wala na masyadong tampuhan. Kasi ang tendency ng iba, no, Sis Hope,
yes.
asan yung kapatid ko? Asan yung di ba? Para bang dapat andito sila. Ganyan. So parang, relax.
Yes.
Kung ayaw nila, that's fine.
Yeah. I was gonna,
go ahead.
Yun nga, yung when the reality of dying is there already, like my illness, no?
Yeah.
How do you prepare? Do you talk about it? Do you not talk about it? Di ba? Yung mga ganun. Kasi sabi mo nga, iba-iba. Bawat tao, iba-iba. And then you just have to respect and be there when they're ready to talk. But sometimes kasi, minsan dun papasok yung, like what you mentioned kanina, yung mga what ifs, mga resentments na, I should have been there. I should have, all these what ifs, di ba?
Correct. I don't know if this would help if I do a little self-disclosure, because I was the primary caregiver when my father was going through that stage of deterioration of his health. And ano yon, from buying the wheelchair, mga ganyan, no? Then all of a sudden, I'm already taking care of his toiletries and brush teeth. Lahat nung, it's like taking care of a baby. And until his last breath. So, kung yun ang pag-uusapan natin, I did a lot of goodbyes already. Parang I just knew in my heart, pero hindi na ako na-expect dun sa mga brothers ko or my family members na they do the same thing. Because that's just who I am as a child to my as a daughter to my father. So same thing with others. Maybe a personal testimony is just do what you can. And if you want to facilitate and they don't cooperate, then let it go. Alam ko madaling sabihin, no? I mean, lalo na kung pandemic, says kailangan pa rin magtulungan. Yes, I know. But the energy, the negativity, just thinking against all of these people, nakakadagdag kasi. But you know what? Help would come eh. I don't know, Sis Hope, no? Parang may darating pa rin, no? Parang may replacement. Parang, Lord, thank you. Diyos ko, salamat, may dumating. Parang, if I didn't have someone like a brother, then someone yung talagang brother ko, parang there's someone who is like a brother to me would do that role. Sabi ko,
Right.
grabe, galing. Timing is
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So then again, proseso kasi ng tao, no? It just has to go through one step at a time, eh. So, I don't know kung nakakatulong yun, sis. So, if I'm making sense, no, pasensya na kung I'm already doing a little testimony of how the death of my father was, so, syempre, mahirap. But at the same time, it was an honoring gesture on my end to do all of those things, and I have no regrets.
Yeah.
But there are some, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay, sis, Mrs.
Yeah, because there are some naman, ito yung mahirap, if unfinished business.
Right. Yes.
Malaking usapan yan.
True. Yeah.
Pag unfinished business, ayan na. Parang, kasi ganyan. Tapos di ba nga, since pag ganyan, dami nag-aaway. Marami nag-aaway, diba?
Yes, medyo malalim yan. Malalim ang hugot niyan.
Oo, so...
Yeah.
So that's a different conversation na, no? But then again, normal po yun, ha? Nagkakagulo talaga. Normal talaga yan.
And even yung sabi ko nga, my question was like pag mga prolonged illness, di ba? So syempre, somehow you know, but you're still hopeful. So yung iba will say, oh, dapat you have to prepare, ganyan, di ba? But others naman, ayaw. Parang, alam mo naman tayong Pilipino, maraming pamahiin na, let's not talk about it because ganyan. Diba? So things like that.
Correct.
But I think we have 2 questions from
Go
the
ahead.
audience. Bro, from Jester. Thank you so much, Jester. Why po adapt versus adopt the new role?
Okay. Syempre playing with words, no? When you say adapt, it's like your old role, if you're a son or if you are a daughter, and if you lost someone, diba? You're the eldest and so on, no? Okay? You now enter into, kung nawalan ka ng loved one, let's say, a parent, diba? Your role now would be somebody like, okay, so wala na si daddy, for example, wala si mommy, diba? So what is your new role? Diba? So will I be like my mom? Definitely, that is not the mandate here. But what is it that you are ready to enter that role? Maybe you can just be a brother lang talaga and let that role of mom, let's respect that mom is mom and dad is dad and just let it be. And nobody can replace their role. I tell you that. A little self-disclosure on my end. When my father passed away, he was a handyman in the house. So I had to take the role of him being a handyman. And I'll tell you, Sis Hope, I can't adapt to his role. I cannot. But if I'm willing to adapt to it, I'll try. Diba? I will try. And little by little, you just kind of get at peace. I don't know. There's a sense of peace that you will feel when you do get into it. And then you'd say, Pa, I now get you. Ma, I now get you why you do this now. And then there's a sense of peace all of a sudden right there. So that's the adapt to the new role. When you adopt, parang may force dun eh. Parang, okay, ako na si ano, diba? Iba yung word na gano'n. No? Parang, but the question is, you don't have to. I don't know about you, Sis Hope. Parang, you don't have to.
Yeah,
diba?
yeah,
What's your comment about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking me. No, kasi I've mentioned to you earlier na I lost someone, lost my husband, no? And friends, well-meaning friends would tell my children, "Oh, you have to be strong for your mom." 'Di ba? Parang I tell them you don't have to, 'di ba? If you have to go through the process. And then my son, who's 20, late 20s. Parang, I feel na he felt na he had to step in. Parang, oh, I'll be the head of the house now. And I go, you don't have to. You don't have
Yeah.
to be. I mean,
Yeah.
you have enough problems of your own, stresses of
Correct.
your own, things to
Correct.
process on your own. But I know
Correct.
these people are well meaning, but it's just that sometimes we put that unnecessary pressure to our children, or to whoever,
Correct.
family
Correct.
members or whatever, na you have to be this, you have to be that. Yun nga yung
Buti
sabi
na lang
natin
ikaw nagsabi niyan.
right? Kasi
Yeah.
parang it's hard kasi each of us has to, we all have to process all our
Correct.
emotions. So
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
just I don't know if that makes
And
sense. So
yeah,
I'm
it
not a
makes sense.
psychologist, but
No, tama lang yung pagkasabi mo as a mother
Mhm.
and viewing the roles of your children
Yeah.
when your husband passed away.
Mhm.
And okay lang na may void. And
Mhm.
alam mo, things will just fall into place when people are
Right.
ready.
Right.
Like, for example, in my case, I can only do so much when becoming a handyman or handy woman. I'm just gonna call someone, pwede ba kayo na lang gumawa?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Diba?
Yeah.
And
Get
if
the
you
help.
can't, yeah, get the help.
All the help
Ask,
that you can.
you gotta ask for help.
Yeah.
Kasi
Yeah. True.
it's a big shoe na
Mhm.
everyone is unique and it's hard to fill in already that shoe. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to. But there's a mourning that happens. There's there's that, oh my gosh, wala na yung role na palang ganyan. And you miss it.
Right.
And it's fine to miss it. And if you want to cry while you're missing it, it's also fine. Iyakan mo lang kung kailangan mo iyakan.
Mm-mm.
And you will resolve it when you are ready to resolve it. But you don't have to resolve it right now, that role.
Mhm.
No? It will just come to you when you are ready. And family members will just, alam mo, tayong mga Pilipino, we're a heart culture eh. Magaling naman tayong makaramdam, ay sana, no? I think, no, I'm just looking at it in a context of, because we're a heart culture, alam mo, pag kailangan lang gawin at hindi gawin. Pag pamilya ang pinag-uusapan. Pag pamilya. Pero if you're kind of family na dysfunctional kayo, hindi kayo nag-uusap talaga, mahirap yon. Mahirap talaga yon. So that's why you need an objective person to come in to help everyone, or facilitate everyone. I hope nasagot ko yung
Jester. I hope,
I hope,
Jester, we were able to answer. Mrs. was able to answer your question. Sis Miriam, Sis Barbara has a question. How do we know that my physical and emotional health suffer due to loss of a loved one that need to consult the specialist before getting worse? Like, I stayed inside my room longer than I used to be, just seldom left the house, no driving force. Ito rin yung question ko, Mrs. kanina.
Go ahead.
Right. It has, something to do with the question of Sis Barbara and your slide kanina about counseling. Kasi, yun nga, when do we know na there is a mental issue and we need to seek help? I know you discussed this in your
Correct.
slide kanina,
Yes.
no? But like tayo, how can we help? What can we do as family members or a support group do to to help?
Sige. I'll try to explain it simple in terms of duration of time. Like, for example, if you lost a loved one, okay, definitely most of the family members will enter talaga a bereavement, adapting, and majority will go through a major depressive disorder. Okay? That's according to evidence-based studies, no? And that would be almost a month. Isang buwan yan. 2 weeks to 1 month. Yan ang parang normal daw yan. Normal yan. Kaya nga papansinin nyo, meron tinatawag na bereavement leave. Hindi ko alam kung may dinadanas po kayong ganyan. No? Oo. Kasi there are some people, kaya nila mag-snap out of it after 7 days. May ganon. May mga ganong klaseng tao. They can snap out of it after 7 days. And then, trabaho na agad. No? But there are some, iba ang adapt. Pag-a-adapt nila. No? Yung pag-grieve nila because of the heavy feeling. When I say heavy feeling, actually, it's all in the mind. Because if you think you're sad, talagang yung buong katawan mo would respond to that sadness. Ngayon, ang pagtawag ng isang professional help, pag umabot na kasi kayo, no, sabihin natin, after 3 months, 6 months, a year na yan, diba? Tapos wala kang kinakausap. Yung ikaw lang, you really totally isolated yourself from everyone for the past 6 months, 3 to 6 months. It is best that you go for professional help. Kasi mahirap magkaroon ng chronic depression. No? Yung chronic meaning you don't know how to get out of the swamp feeling. Yun ang mahirap kasi naging komportable ka na dun sa swamp feeling. So, ayaw mo na. So, mahirap yon. It would develop a disorder. Doon na sinasabi ko kanina, no? And that's why, that's a check and balance for you. Na sana, inside your home, merong nagmo-monitor sa'yo. Merong kaibigan kung hindi sa bahay, merong kaibigan na kilala ka, diba? Kaya magandang you still communicate with your friends because they know what you are going through. Kung kilala ka nila, they'd say, oy, nakakadalawang linggo ka ng ganyan. I think you should go for professional help. No? Instead of saying, huy, meron kang MDD, sabi ni Mrs., diba? So hindi naman yun ang ibig ko sabihin, but refer. No, na sinasabi na natin, no, kung ganyan. And it's nice that someone who knows you will say that to you. Kasi yung mga hindi kilala, sorry pasensya na mga brothers and sisters, no, pag biglang, hey, you should naka 3 weeks ka na, okay ka na yan, move on ka na, no, hello, meron mga, pwede, magpaligaw ka na, mga ganyan, no, parang, it's not easy for some to go through it. Kaya nga ito yung magandang usapan natin kanina, Sis Hope, yung what is empathy?
Nakikita mo yung reaction ko.
I know your face already. What is empathy and what is sympathy? Okay, for example, let's say pre-pandemic pa, no? Ang sympathy is when you visit the burials, the wake, the wake, you'd say, uy, condolence Okay, sympathy yon. Bakit? Yung greeting na yon, ano sasagutin nung taong namatayan? Ay, thank you po. Kaya nga parang, I know it's a culture that we have, but actually, ang masarap na sabihin talaga dyan is wala kang sasabihin. Empathy is you just go and you don't, close ka dun sa tao, and I don't know if you are very close enough to hug and no words. Oh my gosh, no words. Hawak lang ng kamay. Tapos bigla na lang mararamdaman nung taong yun na talagang, my gosh, kilala mo ko. Ito yung kailangan ko. And just being there. Compared to, bukas, halika, labas tayo, para hindi ka dyan sa loob ng bahay mo, no? Naman tayo, kumain tayo para, mawala yung mga sadness mo. That is sympathy. Kasi walang honoring or respecting of the person's process. So, yun lang. I don't know why I said that, pero ang question kasi ni Barbara, I hope nasagot, no? Pero kasi yung mukha mo kanina,
sorry.
parang nakuha ko, parang alam ko yung question. So there, I hope, Barbara, nakatulong nakatulong yung pagsasabi ko. Basta, more than a month, at meron pa rin na ganyan, no? Wag mo na paabuti ng 3 months. Right. Kung gusto mo lang naman magpa-check up, just check lang your symptoms kung anong meron, wala naman mawawala sa'yo. So, pwede ka pumunta sa psychologist, pwede ka pumunta wag ka muna pumunta ng psychiatrist, psychologist lang muna, no? O kaya if you want to have a pastoral counselor in your community, diba, na pwede ka lang mag-share lang muna and stuff, and then that pastoral counselor in that community can say, uy, mukhang kailangan mo ng psychologist. So again, referral system pa din. nakailang buwan ka na, uy, medyo ano na yan. So it's
Yeah.
nice, someone objective tells you.
Yeah.
So I hope nakatulong yun, Sis Hope.
Oh, and that's why we have these conversations.
Yes,
Diba?
yes, yes.
To, at least to just, even begin one step lang of the healing
Yeah,
process. Kasi knowing
oo.
about this, acknowledging,
Correct,
is
correct.
the beginning of healing, I guess. And which
Yeah.
brings me to that, kasi since we are talking, yung question ni Sis Mir kanina, kailangan ng social support. Kasi if you do not have anyone, like you said nga, you have to have someone with you in the house or maybe in the family na parang na-check ka o medyo parang
Yes.
isang buwan ka nang hindi lumalabas sa bahay, di ba? Medyo hindi ka na kumakain or whatever. So, the social support is very important. I mean, kasi
Yes.
we were talking about yung sis Mrs. 'di ba, yung personal, I'm sorry, we were talking about our personal experiences kasi I think sa akin yun yung best to
Testimony.
testimony kasi when you go through all this,
Correct.
and 'di ba, and then so the social support is very, very important. So we have yung family, friends, community, church, 'di ba? All these are mga social support. But sometimes, as well-meaning as they may be, minsan nga, yun nga, they do not realize. So eto na lang siguro, what to say or what not to say.
Yeah. I think naging practice ko ever since I joined a charismatic community then, and when I understood the concept of death in our faith, when I greet or when I acknowledge someone who is going through a certain grief, I'd say peace be with you, sis, or bro. Kasi parang if you also look at it in the Bible, diba, every time Jesus would come and appear, he'd say, peace be with you all. Kasi parang pinapakalma niya muna mga tao.
Right.
And I got that. Parang, nga naman. Ibig sabihin mo, kaya mo yan. Di ba parang ang ganda sabihin, peace be with you. Or a gesture. A gesture, kung hindi lang talaga pandemic, diba, a gesture of just holding the hand or tap the shoulders. Actually, very kinesthetic very movement kasi And knowing Filipinos kasi, we are like that. We want to be reassured, no? And syempre, kung close na close mo yung tao, isang tingin lang, parang alam mo na kung anong kailangan, no? And ako, nung time mas sa grief ko and stuff, I don't know sa'yo, Sis Hope, no? Grabe yung yakap ng mga nakakilala sa akin.
Right.
Talagang alam nila kung paano ako hahawakan ng maayos ba. Hindi yung sandali lang. Talagang matagal, ilabas mo yan.
Yeah.
Talagang nilabas ko. As in, kasi these are people who know you so well.
Right.
And the touch that they would do is really comfort ba. Sobrang mararamdaman yung sincerity. Kasi there are some sis, condolence.
Awkward.
Medyo awkward. Parang layuan mo ko.
But that's the sad thing lang kasi yung pandemic, we can't do that now losing someone is difficult in itself, but losing someone during the pandemic is doubly difficult, diba? So ano kayang best? Kasi I have a friend who didn't, she's very close to me, but during the time of yung very, very tragic time in my life, she didn't call me, she didn't talk to me. When I finally talked to her, ang reason niya, she didn't know what to say. So sometimes, diba, it stops us from communicating or from reaching out.
Correct.
So
that's why the translation now of that hug is into a virtual relationship or a virtual connection. Alam mo, a call would be the best.
Yeah.
Alam mo, yung marinig mo lang, 'di ba, boses na. Kasi wala, kailangan yung mag-adapt, 'di ba? Parang I was able to do this with one friend. Hindi, like you, parang hindi ako masyadong close, but I just wanted to say, I'm here for you 24/7. Anytime you text me, I will be here for you. I will answer you immediately. Kahit hating gabi yan, madaling araw. Alam mo, nag-feedback siya sa akin, That's what I needed to hear
And
that time.
at that time, right, right.
So,
Yeah,
comforting words is hope. Wala, ganun lang muna talaga, no? Comforting words, if kaya ng video, why not? Pero,
right.
it's the choice of your words, the sincerity. Mararamdaman yan eh. I don't know, there's the power of words eh. Words of healing, actually. So,
And the
go
mere
ahead.
act of reaching out, I guess.
Yeah. And take note, these are people na hindi ko yan mahampas yan o mahahag yan in person. But with
Right,
that words that I just, para lang maramdaman niya, ito lang yung magagawa ko sa ngayon eh.
right, right.
Isang text lang and stuff. And usually I just text this person every day and stuff. And
Yeah,
sobrang niya na-appreciate yon.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not about meddling eh. It's like, anong kinain mo? Eh, ba't di ka kumakain? Ikaw naman kasi. Hindi yung galit na gano'n. Parang, kaya mo kumain. Kahit
Right,
konti. Kung anong
right.
kaya. Diba?
Empathy
Parang,
again. All
yes.
part.
Empathy.
Empathy. Yeah.
Empathy. Lalo na pag no, sis Hope, kung nalaman mong na COVID, pero
Oh
naka-recover,
yeah.
diba?
Yeah, yeah.
Ayaw
True.
kausapin, ayaw parang, my
Mm-mm.
gosh, kawawa naman yung mga gano'n.
Very true. Oo,
Oo, so
yeah.
kailangan pa rin
Added ano yan.
kausapin.
Oh.
Oo, kailangan pa rin kausapin. Yes, go ahead.
We have a question from Sis Amelia Sabay. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Why after several years na nawala yung loved one, may mga moments na bumabalik as fresh yung sadness and pain? Any advice?
So ito yon.
Hindi
Sis
pa ba fully naabot yung acceptance stage? Oh, there you go. Yeah. So let me
Yeah.
repeat that. Why
Oo.
after several years na nawala yung loved one, may mga moments na bumabalik as fresh yung sadness and pain? Any advice po? Hindi pa ba fully naabot yung acceptance stage? From Sis Ami. Thank you, Sis Ami, for that question.
This is a
Yes,
beautiful
Miss Tess.
question. This is a beautiful question because if you're a kind of person who was not able to process it in terms of talking it out with some loved ones or someone, a professional help, no, and so on, no, ang tendency mo, parang talagang fresh yan.
Mhm.
Kasi hindi na proseso yung dapat maproseso. Ano yung sabihin, Ses? Iba kasi, pasensya na if it's, I don't want to sound a hard sell here, no, but when a professional helps you in your grief, alam ko ano dapat isara at ano ang dapat ilabas at pag-usapan at gawan ng seremonyas yan. Kung hindi mo nadanas yung seremonyas na yan, definitely mararamdaman mo yan after so many years, no? Yung impact niyan as if kahapon lang nangyari. Kasi hindi na proseso. Ibig sabihin yan na naipon lang. Pero hindi na proseso. Iba po yun. Kaya hindi ka aabot sa acceptance stage talaga. Or malalaman mo kasi pag talagang you are already at peace with the loved one, talagang there is a certain freedom. There is a certain sense of peace in you. Kasi na-proseso mo, hinimay-himay mo yung questions mo, yung loss, yung death, yung lahat yan, dinaanan mo. Kumbaga, hinimay mo, pinlansya mo, kinulam mo, nilaban mo, tapos binalikan mo ulit, tapos pinag-usapan, parang wala kang sawang pinag-usapan about that loss.
Mhm.
And ngayon, kung hindi nangyari yon, therefore, the process is not complete. Baka after so many years, baka nasa denial ka pa rin. Pwedeng ganun. O di kaya nandun ka pa rin sa bargaining. Pwede din ganun. Kasi yung theory ni Kubler-Ross na 5 stages of grief, walang time frame eh.
Right.
Wala siyang time frame eh. Kahit 10 years yan, 20 years mo yan, daanan and stuff, pag hindi mo pinoproseso yan, talagang hindi yan aabot sa acceptance stage. Sorry kung ang dating ko, pero
No, but
it's
actually my question,
Go ahead.
question, connected din dyan na, do we need to go through all the 5 stages?
Yes.
Short and
Kasi,
simple, yes.
yeah, ito lang. Ang question ko, ibabalik ko sa inyong lahat, mga brothers and sisters listening. Do you want to have peace of mind? Yun lang. if you want to have peace of mind and a peace of heart, therefore, you have to learn to let it go. Kasi parang ano yan eh, as you move on to your life ahead of you, it's like a ball of chain on your ankle. Dahil nga, di ba ang daming balls of chain yan, na parang pag hinahatak mo yan, di ba, ang hugot mo, nandun pa rin sa issue mo of death. Na dapat yung death, na dinanas mo, yung loss mo, you have to let it go, make peace with it. And then when you're at peace with it, malay mo, there is a lot of opening of doors for you. Diba? Nabigla na lang, you know how to comfort someone who went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Diba? So it's about others na, hindi na sa'yo. Hindi na issue mo. Issue na ng iba na you're ready now to comfort others. I don't know about you, Sis Hope, no? Pero ako nung naranasan ko yung death of loved ones along my lifetime, mas naging tao ako eh. I don't know, mas naging, parang life became so vulnerable. And you just learn how to appreciate other people and elderly. And, you know, para bang, if this is the last day of me, ayoko naman mag-away kami ng nanay ko. Mga ganyan.
True.
So, there's a certain change in you, how you relate with people, because death is really part of our life.
Yeah.
Ano yan, malalim po yun. There's a lot of theological support dapat dyan.
Yeah,
Pero
I know.
kailangan, yeah, diba?
Yun,
Parang,
they say nga, we grieve because we love.
oo.
Diba? So,
And
hand in hand.
And another perspective that I see also, Sis Hope, is pag kinuha na yan ng nasa taas, wala kang magagawa.
Right.
And parang sinasabi na natin, oras na niya. At kailangan mo i-let go. I don't know what that means to some of you, but it's reality. You can't hold on na lang na, no, dapat nandito siya, no, ganyan na. So, yan ang sinasabi ko, kailangan mo ng therapy pag ganyan. Kasi,
it's a process.
Yes.
It's a process.
Oo. So, malay mo, baka kaya nagpaparamdam sa inyo, baka may mga issues pa with you guys, di ba? But then again, kung may mga paramdam na ganyan, you pray for that person, na everything will be okay.
Yeah.
No?
Which I think may follow-up question si May. Trying to remember the good days with a loved one, pero every time I do that, sumasabay yung sadness. I think, yeah. So, ang tendency, di na lang iniisip yung mga good days dahil nasasabayan naman ng grief. Any advice, Mrs.?
My dear sister or brother, whoever asked this.
May. Yeah, Sis May.
Sis May. That's what you call human being. Ganda nun. Malalim yon. Hindi ka human doing. You are a human being. Hindi ka rin human being. Hindi pass. So therefore, yung iyak mo na good days, bad days, good days, bad days, that's part of it that you have to accept. Embrace it. Ngayon, kung ayaw mong isipin yan, ang tanong lang dito, there's nothing wrong kung ayaw mo siyang isipin. In other words, you just want to have a distraction. But in that distraction, maybe you can make it creative. Symbolize it through a song. Para when you, di ba? O kaya symbolize it through something else like, let's say this person loves helping other people and you create a foundation. You turn something painful, di ba? Sabi nga nila, into something beautiful. And so that others will be blessed. I hope that makes it clear for you na para bang pwede mong mawala na lang, but it will always come back eh. Baka kasi may message dyan. Bakit sa balik ng balik? Bakit sa balik ng balik? Again, I will ask again, anong prosesong dinaanan mo? Ngayon, kung umiyak ka, I don't know about you, Sis Hope. And ako naman, when I think of my father and I see his car, when I drive it, meron talagang times you would cry eh. That's normal because you're a human being. Tao ka lang. And guess what? Unti-unti naman yung iyak mo na dati 30 minutes, magiging 29 minutes. Someday, it will
Yeah.
be 15 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 5 minutes. Tapos mapapansin mo, kung magpapahid ka na ng luha, tapos ngiti ka na, and then, you will overcome it. But it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing. Ako, when I think, I don't know about you, sis, so when I think of my dad, na dati ito yung ginagawa niya, no? Good, but at the same time, you remember oh my gosh, naalala ko yung nangyari kay Papang ganto and stuff, no? Alam mo, I just say, I let it go.
Mhm.
And I'll be at peace with it. Pa, you're in a better place now. Alam ko
Right.
you're in a better place.
Right.
So I do that. I don't know if it's gonna help you, Sis May, I do that to be at peace with that memory na right now he's okay. Let it go, sis. Just let it go. So may ganon lang. May ganon lang akong, in other words, ang key dito is kailangan mo daanan yung proseso eh. Alam ko parang, sis, ang dami naman na kailangan daanan and stuff, no? Kasi nga, yan ang human being. Kaya nga, you cannot go through your grief alone eh. You have to go through it with someone else.
Yeah. True.
Kasi pag sinolo mo yan, ay, punong-puno yan. Punong-puno yung emotions mo. Kaya dahil hindi mo sinabi, lumalabas tuloy sa behavior mo. Ayan, you drink a lot, o di kaya you get into vices already, kasi ayaw i-confront yung sadness or grief.
Mhm.
So, ang sa akin, go through it in a constructive way. Umiyak ka, okay lang yun. Tapos pahid ka lang ng tissue dyan, and then, embrace that moment, and then say a little prayer, and then let it go. Pag
Yeah.
naalala mo ulit, ganun ulit, umiyak ka, pahid again, then let it go. I hope that helped.
Yes, she says, thank you po sa explanation. Thank you for the question, Miss May.
Yes,
We
beautiful.
appreciate you asking that
Beautiful
question. Yeah, it's not
Yes.
easy. Diba?
I
It's not
know.
easy.
I know.
Let me, before I go to Sis
Yeah.
Barbara's
Go ahead.
question, we were talking, I just want to comment. It's okay to be happy. Kasi sometimes, when we lose someone, lalo na pag spouse or anak, parang hindi, parang ine-expect ng tao sa'yo na parang all the time malungkot ka or ano ka, When you have processed everything, iba-iba for different people, diba? Sometimes it takes longer. For some people, it takes a shorter period of time, or it's each one's way of adapting, or ano. So it's okay to be happy. Like if you want to go out with friends, that's my personal ano ha. It's okay. You don't have, just because you lost someone na kailangan the whole time para kang malungkot na ano. It's okay to let yourself be happy. Think of the good memories. Yun nga, like I hope Sis May will reach that ano. I hope, Sis May, you can go to the last slide of Mrs. Kasi for me, that really touched the chord. Healing takes time. Take it one day at a time.
True.
You will have breakthroughs.
Correct.
It will get better.
Yes.
It will get better.
Yes,
So,
definitely. I love the explanation. Wonderful. Yes.
Sige, mag-ano. Wag na. Ayoko na. Let me go to Sis Barbara. Mrs. Barbara, what is your question again, please? Can you cite some process questions? This is from Sis Miriam, Sis Barbara. Cite some process questions.
Some process questions perhaps would be, what are you missing about this person? And then, how are you going to cope when you miss this person? Diba? What are some of the, if I feel sad, ako kasi, paano ba? My processing of my emotion, if I miss my father, I go to the columbarium and I just sit there, no? So, in other words, ang process question, if I feel sad, what do I want to do? I just go and visit him and just stay there and just look at him and put beautiful flowers and so action yung sagot ko dun sa process question na yun. Another process question could be um what are all the emotions that I have towards this person, na either galit or na gusto yung masama loob mo, then write it out, 'di ba? Others would do self-talk. May picture dyan. Tapos kakausapin mo, alam mo, nabubwisit ako sa'yo, iniwan mo ako, walang yaka, PI ka, mga ganyan, diba? Yan ang proseso mo, diba? Kung masama loob mo, tapos gawin mo ulit the next day, galit pa rin ako sa'yo. O, diba? Tapos, hanggang sa you get the hang of it na wala na talaga siya. Diba? And parang another process question would be, what's my life without you? Siyempre, maraming maraming butas na kumbaga sa maraming butas ngayon yung buhay mo kasi dati nandyan siya katabi mo. Ngayon, dahil maraming butas, ang susunod na question dyan, paano mo pupunan ngayon? Not only by one person, but you can have friends and family members and community to fill up all of these holes for you. Not necessarily yung son mo, yung, diba, yung helper mo and stuff. It could be a whole community helping you go through this grief. So, there's so many. I hope, Barbara, that helped you, no? In terms of, wow, may sabi siyang,
Wow. Wow.
You're welcome.
Sis Mir.
Wow, sis Barbara.
Thank you, Sis Mir. Thank you. Also, I'd like to, in connection to Sis May kanina, we can also ask, will it get better? When will it get better? Or will it ever get better?
No. I say and no, then I laugh.
Uh-huh.
Because pain is there forever naman eh. Diba? Your heart is already broken naman talaga for life. It's already there. Whether it's a person, whether it's you lost a phone and stuff, no, the pain is there. But you have a scar. Diba?
Yeah.
It's a reminder of humanity. It's a reminder of tao ka lang. So in that scar that you have, the pain, di ba nga pag may scar, may sugat ka, let's say nagkaroon ka ng sugat any part of your body, pag hinawakan mo parang, ay, ang sakit, akala ko, di ba? Kasi yung loob nun, hindi pa totally healed. So, it's there forever. But the question is, siguro yung katawan mo has already managed the pain. Yun ang importante. You learn how to manage the pain when it emerges or when it evolves, no, you just know and recognize it, and you have to do an action towards it to manage it. So pain management now is the key here. Okay?
Salamat po,
You're
Mrs.
welcome.
From Sis Miriam, Sis Barbara, salamat po, Mrs. Na-relieve naman ako with tears.
You're welcome, my dear Barbara. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for engaging. Yeah, thank you for engaging
yes.
and
Thank you for
taking part in
opening
the
up.
conversation. Yeah, for taking
Thank you
part
for
in the
opening up.
conversation.
Yeah.
Mrs., may I ask, you mentioned kanina yung mga what ifs. Marami tayo niyan. What if ganito? What if ganyan? And, yun nga, sometimes you don't want to touch their things, kahit na isang taon, 2 taon, ayaw mong labhan, yung mga
True.
How do you overcome all this? Especially the what ifs. Kasi, minsan yun na mabigat eh. You have self-guilt, diba? You carry that with you, yung mga what ifs natin. What if I went to another doctor, or I consulted another doctor, went to another hospital, things like that. How do you overcome that?
If I understood the question right, Sis Hope, like for example, in terms of clothes and, no? Tama ba? Yun,
yeah, both that, how to overcome. Kasi sometimes, like me, when someone asks me, they go there to the what ifs, I tell them don't go there. So I don't know if that was right for me to say that, kasi I just say, just don't go there kasi maraming i-open, parang it will just open a can of worms when you start doing the what ifs.
Correct.
The things naman, it's for me, this is my personal It can take forever. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
If you wanna touch it, go. If you don't wanna touch it, then fine. But that's just me.
Yeah.
So,
How would I say this? This is where I get into a self-disclosure so that people can relate lang. Para
mm-mm,
hindi theoretical.
mm-mm,
My mom had a hard time letting go of my father's clothes.
mm-mm,
Kasi si Papa, ano yan eh, very, spooting, magandang and stuff, no? I kept on telling her, Ma, if you're ready, no, pwede natin pamigay yan sa seminaryo para makita mo, pare, di ba? Yan ang mga suot and stuff. Tapos tahimik lang siya. Nakasimangot pa. So, I just let it be. Then, all of a sudden, ano pa lang to, after a month pa lang or 2 months, nakikita ko, nagpapak na. Sabi ko, tapos pinapanood ko lang, and then I said, can I get that shirt ni Papa? I want that part of my, basta very symbolic yan. And also, his watch and stuff, no? So, but when that was happening, yung mga what ifs na yan, and no, masakit eh. Kasi parang, Papa yan ba't nasa sa'yo yan, mga ganyan, no? Pero biglang isipin mo, pala, wala na nga pala siya, no? So, you just have to take care of it lang. Diba? And, yun eh, yung, ang bilis na nung, paano ko ba sabihin, ang bilis na nung ups and downs ng roller coaster ride ng emotions mo. Tapos, nare-resolve mo na siya agad. Parang, okay, I'll just take care of it. Yun na yung nagiging bagong mong role. Sige, mukhang ito yung gagawin ni Papa. Kung siya yan, ito yung gagawin niya. Sige, I'll take care of it. Ganyan. Like, for example, the car of my dad. So, kaming tatlong magkakapatid ang magte-take care. Ako tagalinis. Sila gumagamit, 'di ba? Pero ako tagalinis. Okay lang sa akin 'yun. Kasi for me, 'yun naman talaga role ko eh. And sa akin, that's fine. So, yan yung mga bargaining na iniisip ko na at peace naman ako siyang gawin. Hindi ko in-expect na dapat yung kapatid ko, siya gumamit, dapat siya maglinis, 'di ba? Parang ngayon, okay lang ako dun. Kaya alam naman ni Papa, tamad yan eh.
Yeah.
So parang, I already have an answer for whatever that what if is. And it's funny when I think about it, when I share it with you, parang, ang galing naman, no? Iba talaga pag psychology, ang dami mong ipinoproseso sa sarili mo, sa dami mo rin nasasagot, and now you're sharing it with people. Because that's how fast it's gonna be when you're open to healing.
Right.
When you're open to healing, ganun na siya kabilis.
Yeah.
But when it is hard pa, wag muna.
Yeah.
Like what you said, no, don't go there. Don't ganyan. Okay lang yun. If you're, like ako on my end, I don't want to open the computer of Papa pa. Parang sa akin, very symbolic yun because we're both teachers eh. So sabi ko, if I open his laptop, mukhang dun ako iiyak. Naka 2 years na kami. And I don't go there. Like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there because I'm not ready. Hindi pa ako buo.
Yeah, exactly. I think yun yung key when you are ready. Ikaw lang nakakaalam nun. Oo.
Kaya ang iniisip ko lang dyan, pag ready na, malalaman mo pag ready na eh. I don't know. You just know. Like for example, taking care of my father's car, ready naman ako doon kasi parang it's just tasks and function. Linis, ganyan. And I would always...
Routinary.
Routinary kasi. But when it is something very meaningful and we share, kasi pareho kami gumagawa ng grades noon eh. So, very symbolic sa akin ang computer ni Papa. So, like, I don't wanna go there. Not yet. So, tama ka, Sis Hope. Yung mga what ifs na yan, yun yung bargaining. What if ganito, what if ganyan, no? Actually, ang isang malaking what if ko, sabi ko, I'm a psychologist, but hindi ko na-therapy yung tatay ko when it comes to smoking. Stop smoking! Diba?
Yeah.
But then again, hindi ko na-fault yun eh, kasi buhay niya yan eh. So, I found my peace there. Kasi he chose, I'm sorry to say this, but he chose his death. I just have to say that to myself. He chose his death. And he knew the consequences of smoking. Pasensya na po kung may mga natatamaan, pero tatanggapin ko na lang, and that's it. And I'm just gonna support him in all of this. So, that's the what if That's the
Mhm.
bargaining that happened on my end. I know it's very personal. I hope it resonates with the rest of you. You
Right.
have your own versions of how you were going through also your own bargaining. So there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the key there is letting go, and also when you are ready, kasi
Oo
'di
eh.
ba,
Oo eh.
iba-iba bawat
Oo.
individual eh. Naku,
Oo.
thank you, Mrs. For my last question, I wanna
Go
go
ahead.
back to, meron si Miss Dang. Huh.
Uh-huh.
Sis
If you
Dang, if you
can,
can tell stories of a loved one who passed on without crying na, then you know you are healed na. Oh, it's a comment. It's a comment.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-mm.
yes. I
So
yeah, I
it's
agree
come
with you
full
there.
cycle na.
Uh-uh. Like now in the family, I don't know if that's also that is happening to you now. All of a sudden you just say, if my dad was alive, ito yung gagawin. Just magtatawanan lang kami and then biglang kain na lang ulit.
Mm-mm.
Parang gano'n. So, again, tama ka, paunti-unti. Paunti-unti lang talaga.
Oo.
Sa Batanggenyo nga daw eh, pautay-utay laang. No?
Pautay-utay lang.
Oo, pautay-utay laang tayo.
I think that was in one of your slides also na you know you are getting
Mm.
over your grief,
Yeah.
yung merong ano, 'di ba, yung interest
Oo.
in life, yung gano'n. And
Oo.
I
Oo.
guess we can add, you can talk about, your loved one already with,
Oh, yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
fondness.
Fondness na, with
Oo.
fondness na.
Yeah.
Oo, oo.
I wanna go back to our beginning question.
Hmm.
Do we have to say goodbye? Do we have to let go? Parting natin. Balik tayo sa umpisa. I
Ay!
know we've talked about the
Yeah, yeah,
grieving
yeah. Yeah.
process
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
acknowledging all this, getting the support and
Yeah,
everything. But,
yeah.
when you lose a loved one, or you're going through, especially pag fresh pa, as
Mm.
simple as that, do we need to say goodbye? Do we let go? Or, we just
Uh, yeah.
soldier on?
Um, I know it's hard to say goodbye to
Mm,
someone who has been a big part of your life.
mm,
And I know it's hard to let go, no? When this person has influenced 90% of your personality, no? Parang if that's the ano, no? But tayo kasi yung naiwan eh. And they have moved on. Baka nga nagpa-party-party pa nga sila sa heaven dyan. No? Parang, hindi mo, iniiyakan pa tayo. Ba't pa tayo iniiyakan, diba? So parang, I have this funny picture in my head when I think of all of the loved ones who passed on. Parang sabi ko, nag-crossover na sila eh, no? Happy na sila nun. So parang yung body nila, ang nasa lupa, pero gano'n talaga. Si Jesus Christ nga yung naging bridge eh, para magkaroon ng resurrection. Parang I do a self-taught way of understanding what death is. But
yeah.
at the same time, it's telling me, if I hang on palagi to all of those na happy naman sila, I think they also want us to be happy.
Mm, mm,
It's just that we just have to accept that we also have to live a life that they want us to have as well.
yeah. Yeah.
And not get stuck and glued to, kasi wala siya kaya ayoko na. Mga gano'n.
Mm,
Parang
mm,
hindi
mm,
na living yun. You surrendered and you gave up. And I don't think that's what they want for us who are left behind.
mm,
I say that with all sincerity. I say that with all hopefulness, no? Masakit, yes. Pero if they can talk to us right now and tell you, oras ko na eh. I'm okay na. So why don't you just let me go and live your life and I will be there with you in your dreams.
mm,
Diba? I'll give shoves or 'di ba? I'll make kukulitin ko yung mga saints and si Jesus and so on to answer all your prayers. And you know what? They are saints already in our lives.
right.
All of our loved ones.
Mm,
If you pray for them and you pray and ask them for your help, they're actually there with us. Alam ko medyo theological,
spiritual.
very
Yeah.
spiritual
Mm,
na yung
yeah.
approach ko. But that's the only way for us to understand why we have to let go. Because they have lived their life and they have done the mission here. So tayo, tanggapin natin na tapos na po ang dapat nilang gawin. And tayo naman, kung gusto mo ipagpatuloy ang ginawa nila, go ahead. But at the same time, don't stop living.
Right.
You gotta start doing something. Maybe it could be an inspiration for you, tong death. Pwede rin an inspiration for you or an awakening for you. Things happen for a purpose, no, sis Hope? When these
Yeah,
things happen.
definitely.
So,
As
if you,
cliche as it may sound.
yeah, I
but-
know, parang you'll find meaning talaga if you want to find meaning in the death of one loved one or whoever. Alam mo, makikita mo talaga, grabe talaga yung, kaya pala, mapapaganyan ka na lang eh. Kaya
Yeah.
pala.
In
ito yung
time, in
nangyari.
time.
In time. But
In
not
time.
now. But you will understand why. And you know what? Ikaw lang makakaintindi.
True.
I mean, I don't know if others would understand what I'm saying here who have, who had experienced already someone who passed away. But you just know and understand that moment, buti na lang, nakuha ko na kung bakit.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's why you have to let go. So that you will get that breadcrumbs of graces eh. Na, kaya pala, ito. And you will see it in beautiful eyes and hopeful eyes why it had to happen. Yun lang.
Beautiful. And I read somewhere or heard somewhere the best way to honor your loved one is to live your life to the fullest.
Exactly.
So
I
yeah.
love it. Yes, sis Hope. I agree
Yes,
with you there.
yes. Ray po, Steph, yeah, this is from Steph. I had a dream of my late former classmate and I saw him. He is happy.
Yeah.
Naku, yeah. You know, I lost a number of dear loved ones in the last few years. Nainggit pa nga ako kasi sabi ko nagbo-buffet na sila ngayon. Anyway. Sis Marge says, Jude's going was the bridge for me to be serving in the ministries where I serve now. Yes, Sis Marge, yung
Bravo.
aming morning to morning. Yeah.
Bravo.
I think that's key.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Says. It articulates exactly my thoughts from Miss Marge.
Wonderful.
Sis Dang is saying, at first we will not understand, but soon the Lord will reveal his plans for all. 7 years of losing my son, it was never easy, and it will never be the same.
True.
Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
true.
In God's perfect time, he will reveal everything. I know we have a lot of whys, a lot of questions kay God, and it's okay because, as we said, it's a process.
It's a process.
And sabi nga, may nagsabi sa akin, God can take it. Question him, get mad at him, he can take it.
Yeah.
So it's okay. it is a process.
Yes.
Naku, thank you so much. As always, Bitin,
no? With 30 na.
Oh gosh, I know, right? But
Yeah.
oh my, I finished like 2 pages of my notes already. Sobrang always a pleasure kasi talking to you, Miss Tess. My goodness.
Thank you for the opportunity to share. Yes.
I thank the viewers. I really appreciate you engaging and asking all those questions and posting all those comments because this is, a conversation. That's why the name of our show is Conversation.
Yes,
So
yes.
thank you, Mrs. and Sis Hope. Such a blessing, like always. Of course, Bro Anthony, you are a blessing.
Yes, you're
also.
welcome. You're
Sis
welcome.
Tang says, thank you po, Mrs. As always, thank you for gracing us and for
You're welcome.
always taking time out. I know this is your Miss May, tama ba? Sis Amelia is saying very
Yeah.
encouraging talk. Thank you.
Thank
Nako,
you.
it's Sis Marian. I think this is the longest session so far. Sis Mir, yes, we know, we realize it's been, sorry to keep you,
Yeah,
Mrs. Nako,
timely
with all
eh.
our
It's timely
questions.
kasi. It's very timely
Oo.
kasi. It's very timely.
Yeah, sis, thank you, Mrs. Thank you, Sis Hope. Now,
Yes, yes.
you're welcome. I
Welcome
learned a
po.
lot from Mrs. You have been a
Yes,
big help sa amin, Mrs. Thank you for
you're
always
welcome.
giving in to us, taking time out,
Yes,
preparing slides for us. We will be sharing the slides with everyone. I think we will be in
yes,
Facebook and everything. No, this is recorded, man, so anyone can like view
yes,
this
yes,
again.
yes.
And again, if any one of you would want to reach out to Mrs. I know you gave your email address last
Yes, I
time, Miss.
gave my email. Same email address. Yeah.
Oo, oo.
There.
There you
Thank
go.
you,
Thank
bro.
you, Bro
Yeah,
Anthony. Bilis ni
special
Bro
answer natin.
Anthony, ah.
Oo, ang galing
Oo,
talaga.
kasi that
Yeah.
last time kasi yun ang ano ko na talagang yung, mental health issues kasi know
Yeah.
when to get help. Get all the help that you can. You don't have
Yeah.
to grieve. You don't have to go through all this alone. So we are
Mm.
lucky. We are blessed that we have our community and we have
Yes,
people like you, Mrs. Who I know,
correct.
yung heart mo talaga is for
Yes,
serving others. Thank you
yes.
so much. And you're so fun and easy to talk to. I know dapat hindi fun ito kasi we're grieving. But then again, I said it's okay to be happy. We are
Yes,
human beings.
yes,
So it's
correct.
okay to go through all these emotions. Thank you for answering all our questions, Mrs. And do you have any final message? I give the floor to you.
My final message, Sis Hope, is mental health is important. In our world today, in the present times, no, one's mental health must be given importance because this is something that our culture does not yet recognize. Even though we already have a mental health law already passed in our country, we still have to still advocate and share to people that it's okay to ask for help, to listen to, that we listen to you, and take note. This is really for our our culture, no, among Filipinos of today, that it's okay to be not okay,
Yeah.
and it's okay to reach out and ask for help. So again, mental health is important.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for that message. Thank you for this time that you shared with us. Alam ko we started early, more than 2 hours. Thank you. Nako, I really wish
Thank
we
you
could have
also.
you back again. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank you
much. And
everyone.
thank you to all our viewers.
Thank
Happy
you.
weekend, everyone. I hope we were able to address all your concerns with this show and see you for another version of FSN Conversations. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you
And have a
also.
blessed weekend, everyone. Please keep safe. Good night.